Well, good morning. It's 8 a.m. We will now call the Water and Light Commission meeting to order for August 6th. Would you call roll, please?
Commissioner Quirk?
Yes.
Commissioner Grindy?
Yes.
Commissioner Rapaz?
Yes.
Commissioner Riopel?
Yes.
Item number 2 is approved minutes from previous meeting of July 16th.
I'll move.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Quirk?
Yes.
Grindy?
Yes.
Rapaz?
Yes.
Riopel?
Yes.
Looking for a motion on number 3 to approve bills and payroll.
Move.
I'll second.
Okay. Call roll.
Quirk?
Yes.
Grindy?
Yes.
Rapaz?
Yes.
Riopel?
Yes.
Item 4, comments from the public. Seeing and hearing none. Number 5, reports. Widseth. Todd.
Good morning.
Morning.
Few items. Our 2024 miscellaneous. Holt has been working on the punch list. I've got to get back out there and go through the punch list again to see what we can check off, but I think we are getting closer to getting that closed out. So we're working on that. 2025 miscellaneous, Parsons is about 95% done with that contract. We did the substantial completion inspection on the 29th. Put a punch list together of what they needed to get done. There was nothing major. They still need to finish the building entrance into lift station L2 and put some guard posts in over by Folsom. And then a little bit of cleanup. So I do have the certificate of substantial completion put together for Mike to sign. Get 3 copies of that. Get that finished up. And then they are planning on being back in town today to start on that. So maybe by the end of the week we'll be pretty close to being done. Our 2025 equipment materials. For the most part, everything has been delivered. We are still trying to resolve an issue with Resco on one of their items that they were awarded that they didn't furnish everything they were supposed to as part of the kit for 500 MCM splices. So trying to get that resolved. Business Highway 2 lighting. We'll talk about that under number 8 on the agenda. And then miscellaneous, still trying to work on industrial park sub, and 2026 rates. Brianna sent me a spreadsheet on that she needs me to fill out certain parts, so I'm working on that. Still need to schedule our 5-year study kickoff meeting and finish up working on the arc flash study. So that's pretty much what I have, unless there's questions.
No, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Steve.
Part of mine under item 7.
Okay. Mr. Golstead.
Good morning. I really have nothing to report other than the replats are going through as we discussed the last meeting. So other than that, if there's any questions for me.
No, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 6, old business. Keith, nothing? Okay. Item 7, consideration of project award for the IMG concrete reservoir rehabilitation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we received quotes last Friday for the million-gallon concrete rehab project at the water plant. As we had discussed, I think the prior meeting, we did send the request out to 4 different contractors. We did receive just the one quote, which wasn't totally unexpected because we did hold a kind of, I'd call it a pre-bid meeting where, you know, we were able to get into the reservoir, kind of look around, but then also the contractors were able to, you know, have time to come look around too. So they kind of knew what they're bidding, and ICS was the only one that had showed up for the pre-bid meeting. So KLM had prepared, their report back in June of 2019, so about 6 years prior. So it was kind of our first time in there too to get a look at, look at everything in person. And I think overall, and I think Brian would agree too, that things surely hadn't, let's say, over that 6-year time period got any worse. In fact, I think things were probably a little bit better than we even anticipated from, reading the report. So, which was good. So again, just kind of reviewing. So Brian had based his budget a little bit off of the KLM report. They were estimating in 2019 anywhere from 12 to 15,000 in repairs. So Brian budgeted 31.5 for the work. So we received the quotes, reviewed them. Definitely think some of the prices are high, which could be due to the fact that they do only one contractor showed up at the pre-bid meeting too. We're probably only going to get one bid. So Brian and I talked yesterday, and I did kind of talk to Ron a little bit too. Being we did go out and just receive quotes, and we requested multiple quotes, only received the one. Ron said we would be able to kind of negotiate with ICS to try to reduce the cost, maybe eliminate some of the work that isn't required right at this time. Or Brian was mentioning maybe staff could do some of the work. And one of them that just comes to mind is there's in the reservoir there was it's an overflow, basically 90-degree bend. And you could see that there was 2 bolts there on that 90-degree bend that were pretty much totally corroded, would have to be replaced. When they go to sandblast it, we may find some additional bolts that need to be replaced, but we told them to base their bid on replacing 4 of the nuts and bolts. And you can see they bid it at $5,500, so that's pretty expensive for essentially to remove and replace 4 bolts. And like I said, right now, from what we can see, there's 2 of them, so Brian had mentioned that's something that, his staff could take care of. So if we renegotiate with ICS, we just tell ICS the city staff will take care of that, reducing right there the price $5,500. The interior roof, again, there was some areas there where you could see a little bit of rust coming through, but the way it looks from us, some of that rust is actually just from the chairs that they used when they poured that roof slab. Again, was something that, maybe should be repaired, doesn't need to be repaired. We had one of our structural engineers up here looking at it. He wasn't concerned with it. It hasn't got any worse over the last 6 years. So, there too, we'd probably look at, to save some money, we'd probably pull out that interior concrete repairs, and save $6,200 there. One thing we talked about on the interior, exterior sandblasting and coatings, again, we got that 90-degree bend in the reservoir that needs to be sandblasted and recoated. And then on the exterior, there's a vent pipe and kind of an overflow, a 90-degree bend on the overflow piping there. Again, Brian thought, maybe that exterior stuff, they could just get a coat of paint on there, try to reduce that $26,000 there too, because that seems very high, just for some sandblasting and painting. So, and then the other thing that we had put in there, like Brian said, was a little bit of a wish list, but when they come to clean out that, or drain out the reservoir, clean it out, it's hard to get it pumped down all the way to the bottom. So we were going to put in a small sump pit where they could drop, the skimmer pump into it just to help, get that last inch or two, get that drain down. Plus, it would give them kind of a little area to be able to push some of those solids to, kind of suck them out. So again, I think, like Brian said, maybe a little bit of a wish list wouldn't need to be done, but maybe there too, maybe depending on what we can negotiate with ICS, we decide at that time maybe if we move forward with that. So after all that, I think, and Brian and I talked yesterday, I think we got two options. I think we could go back, negotiate with ICS, bring it back to you in 2 weeks maybe with what our negotiated price is, or maybe we decide right now to award it to ICS up to, we're just thinking, maybe a $35,000 max, and then we negotiate with ICS. So kind of a couple options there. I think we'd still like to, because the reservoir is currently still down. I think Brian's intent was just to keep it down until we got this work completed. So I think we'd like to still try to salvage a project, get some work done this year.
How many bids did you send out? Any? Or 4? Do you think because of the size of the bid that
Yes.
nobody wanted to mess with it?
I mean, that's part of it. I mean, it's not a big project by any means. And,
It's a labor
I
either.
talked to
There's no
PKG
margin.
Contracting out of Fargo. They just said timing was bad for them. Municipal Services, I spoke to him early on too. He was interested in the project, but then, over the course of the time they were putting together their bids or whatever, he did email me and just told me that, again, for him too, timing wasn't going to work, and kind of let me know he wasn't going to bid it. So,
Well, I for one, I'm not really interested in a Band-Aid
I
project
agree.
on this. We have money in reserves, and we have money in reserves for special purposes. To me, this is a special purpose. I understand that it's above what you want to pay, but to have to take it down again at a later date to correct the ones we're going to let go here, to me, it just seems like we're doing work twice. So I mean, my opinion is I kind of agree with Ron. Maybe we should just accept it and just see if we could negotiate it down a little bit, but I wouldn't cut the project if that's what you guys want to do.
The only thing I would add to it, I like what they said, but the only thing I would add to it is that maybe we do go out and rebid it. I mean, you just be upfront with the contractor, and they're going to do that. And so if they can get it down to what we feel is a reasonable estimate, let's do it. But I guess to pay, just to go ahead and pay that, I mean, this isn't an emergency, so,
Okay.
I mean, we got a little time here.
and I think too, again, some of the stuff like those bolts, I mean, again, if Brian's comfortable and his staff can do that work,
We're not going to be compromising. They're never going to compromise. It's just,
No.
the price is too high, and they need to renegotiate and see where it goes.
yeah.
Well, if Brian, if he's comfortable with that, that's.
There's
could be good
certain
with it.
things that, it's certainly not technical work. It's certainly not difficult by any means. There is some of those items that we could pick off, definitely.
But it's pretty much labor intensified, right?
Yeah, so it came in high. You guys aren't going to accept it, would be my recommendation, and renegotiate.
I did have some initial conversation on Monday with ICS, and they, kind of told them where we're at a little bit with budgets and everything else, and they did seem like they would be willing to work with us to, kind of come up with a negotiated scope of work. So again, my thought is we can, over the next 2 weeks, we can work that out, bring that back to you for formal approval, or again, you could say right now, let's just award it to ICS and you're approved up to $35,000 or something.
I'd do the first. Come back.
Anybody else have any input here? You want to?
Well, are you comfortable with staff, doing the bolt replacement?
I am.
Then I would say, that's going to.
That's something that we have tackled in the past. And so I am comfortable with that.
I'd say we deny it and come back when they have a more accurate figure.
Ron, did you?
Well, I was just going to say, I was listening to cap it at 35 or whatever, and that's not something that I would do. I would I'd either approve it, with the negotiation, I'd deny it and see if you can negotiate and come back or rebid. The issue that I look at here is we're looking at, you just kind of ballparked or spitballed the 31,000. That was because it was 15, 16,000 from whenever. It was 6 years or 7 years. We've had COVID, we have supply chain issues, and you have this rebid. How much are you really going to reduce it? And we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on everything, and we're going to dick around with 30 grand. I mean, that's just kind of when I'm listening to this whole conversation, it just seems to me that we're kind of spinning our wheels, and maybe I'm out of place in saying that, but I mean, just as an individual that's sitting here listening to the skinny little scope of what we're trying to negotiate down just makes not a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, and I'm going to respectfully kind of disagree with you.
You can, I'm just saying that's.
Because if you start, they put out quotes, that's the reason you talk about it. So we're not in a hurry. We've got a couple weeks here, so I would suggest, if it was me, my advice would be to not approve it and then give them the option of going to renegotiate with the contractor and see if they can bring the price down more to a level that we think is sufficient. Otherwise, if this were an emergency case, then I would agree with what everybody said, but it's not.
Well, it's not going to cost us anything but time to see if we could get it reduced. So, I mean, it's either going to pay this or we're going to get it reduced a little bit. So, I mean, I think that's a good. If everybody's comfortable with that, do we need a motion?
I think I would just table this. I would just table it, come back and see where you're at, and then you can either approve or deny.
Yeah.
All right. Table it then.
That's better.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great.
Item number 8, construction recommendation, 2025 Business Highway 2 lighting extension.
Holy cow.
That would be me. First, I'll just give you a little history on what we had for the bid on that. Then we have a little discussion of where to go from there. It's sort of like the last one we were just talking about. We did have the bid opening on last Thursday, 2 o'clock. We got 3 bids. I was hoping for a little couple more, but that's what we got. But then unfortunately, of one of those 3 bids from NC3, they did not acknowledge the addendum that we had issued, which was a change in the foundation for the light poles. So that disqualified their bid by not acknowledging that, because it was a material item that could affect the final price, and not knowing if they adhered to the addendum or not, we had to disqualify them. So that left two bids, Northwest Electric and Strata Corporation. Of those 2, Northwest Electric was the low bid, meeting the spec at $208,071.20. Our initial estimate on that project was just shy of $163,000. So we were about 28% over what we had estimated. I did give you a copy of the bid tabulation. And if you look on the 3rd page, where we did the per unit calculation of what was high and or where we were high and where we were low, as far as the estimate goes, it was pretty much the light poles, the foundations, and the service cabinet. Makes up the bulk of the difference, and I'm pretty sure that's all material costs. With the steel and the tariffs and all that stuff going on, it's just hard to get a handle on.
Is your bid a 2023 bid or 2025?
Oh, no, we had updated it for 2025, so, but apparently I was quite a ways off on the material prices for those 3 items, the way it looks, so. So with that, we were looking to award this at this time, but we're still trying to talk to MnDOT regarding the proposed funding for this. There are some issues with that. So we want to get, I think we want to get that figured out
Yes.
before we actually award. And then Keith and Steve have been talking to MnDOT, so.
So Brian Kettering, he's the assistant district engineer out of Bemidji. He contacted both Steve and I. I talked to him, I think it was, what, Monday morning sometime. And because we've been playing email tag, and I sent an email, Steve sent an email, and we told them that originally it was 100%. It's always been 100%. They would pay the construction materials and then the construction inspection and that part of it, and we'd pay for preliminary design and bidding. And that's always been what we had been told by the local engineering people from MnDOT. And so at the 9th hour, then they came back and there was something that said 50% of the costs. And so to me that was unacceptable, and that's exactly what I sent back to them. It just said it was unacceptable, and it gave similar reasons why that what Steve had said. And so then Brian contacted me, this assistant engineer, and he didn't disagree with us. And he said he was going to work with internally with staff and others and then get back to us. And so his advice to me was to have the council approve the resolution, which you did last night, but to hold off on approving anything for this contract until we hear back from them. Now, as far as the dollar amount, let's just wait and see what they say, and then we'll go from there. Because what do we have, 60 days before?
Yeah, we can hold the bids for up to 60 days, and it'd still be valid, so.
And he said maybe it'd be a couple days, maybe it'd be a week. I doubt it's going to be 60 days. We're going to follow up with them next week if we don't hear anything, and then we'll bring it back to you.
Do you need any push from our legislators, or?
No, I don't think we need to do that. I think
Okay.
we got supportive. They're supportive of what we're doing.
No, Brian Kettering, our state engineer, it's an internal battle kind of between the districts and MnDOT St. Paul, let's say. Brian's very frustrated. He's fighting very hard on our behalf, so fairly confident at this point that we're going to get 100% participation with construction costs, and then they'll fund up to 8% of the construction cost. Any costs we have for construction staking, construction observation, they'll cover that too. So they're in the process. I did send Brian yesterday the bid tabulation. So hopefully MnDOT's in the process of putting together agreement. So once we get the agreement back, that'll basically state what they're going to pay for. And if they pay 100%, we basically got approval last night with the resolution for basically a signed agreement. We can't award the project. So I'm there too. I'm really hopeful that by our next meeting we should be able to.
And so the question I have for Todd is, let's say we clear all this up and we're back here in 2 weeks, because we're doing budgets right now. What's the likelihood of the project getting done this year?
getting done in this 2025 calendar year?
Yeah,
It won't.
it won't.
We've been told, or one of the contractors told me that the poles are out 6 months.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So we can get, hopefully, most of the groundwork done, and then they may have to come back in the spring and set the poles.
So then,
Fired up, so.
then we'd know a percentage, and we could maybe do that for budget, or however we do that. Because that's what Brianna and I need to know for budget. We have, because next meeting, you're going to be seeing the proposed budget for 2026, and so that's why I asked that, so thanks.
So we're just going to table this also for a couple weeks?
Yeah, we'll come back
in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
You guys aren't an easy sell, are you?
Yeah.
Was there any other questions on that?
No, I agree that we got everything sitting in front of us and go from there so we know which eggs need to get cracked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Since we're talking about these are more difficult than typical. I mean, typically you come in and you got bids and you approve them, but there's a reason why you don't approve everything, because you don't want to leave it on their end to put any number they want and then you just say go ahead. I mean,
Right.
it's just,
Yeah.
we've got a process we follow, and sometimes it pays to follow it that way. Like, if they're not consistent, we're still going to be consistent with how we do things.
We got to do our due diligence also.
Appreciate you having patience, and now it'll be Thursday when we meet again, but we'll talk about it then.
Thank you.
Word for Josh early in the morning. That was a big word for you early in the morning.
Easy there, big fella.
Yeah.
Enough from the peanut gallery.
Okay. Item number 9, East Grand Forks American Legion baseball donation request. I'm the one that kind of initiated this to begin with. We kind of put the cart before the horse a little bit. The team got a great send-off from the community with fire trucks and everything when they left on Wednesday. Out of 366 American Legion baseball teams in the state of Minnesota, we were in the top 4, which is probably a major accomplishment for a community this size to go up against the big towns. So, I had to speak with every one of the commissioners ahead of time, and thankfully they were all on board with this. This is not something that we normally do, and it was kind of out of the norm, but the team needed some money to get down to state. So, and the community came through, and hopefully so do we. So,
I agree.
They don't play, after they lose the game, the reason it's top 4 is they don't play a third place game.
they don't play a third place, no.
They just-
We were one game away from going to the regional in the Midwest, which has never been done. So,
Great accomplishment.
Yep.
The only thing that we would need is what to make the check out to.
Josh Grindy.
I think it would be made out to the American Legion Club. So.
Okay, and if it changes, let Jordan or Brianna know that.
So we
Need a motion.
We need a
so
motion and a
I'll make
second.
the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second. Any further discussion?
Nope, and I think this is a great gesture. Like you and I talked, we should do this for all sport teams. It's great for our community.
Well, it was the boys on these teams were from Sacred Heart and Senior High, so they represented our community and they did a very good job. So,
Yep.
Would you call roll?
Burke.
Yes.
Grindy.
Yes.
Rapaz.
Yes.
Riepel.
Yes.
Thank you.
How much am I getting?
Department heads,
You
Todd.
get 0.
Morning.
Morning, bud.
Morning.
Oh, we had one WAPA transmission outage on the 27th. That one was another storm had rolled through and knocked out the transmission. We were out for a couple hours. Happened about 2:21 in the morning. We were able to get the switch opened up. We're back on by 4:33 a.m. That was. WAPA had a pretty busy night that night. When we talked to the guy on the phone, he was a little bit frazzled, so the crew was able to come in and open up a line to get it fed from Grand Forks. So we had another outage on Friday afternoon. We had a transformer that was run into by a vehicle. We were were out for about 54 minutes. Had to make some repair to the wire. No damage to the transformer as of yet. Hit the backside and bent one of the fins a little bit, but all in all, we were only out for about 54 minutes. That was over by the fire department. So the crews got that one fixed. That went pretty good for a Friday afternoon. Was looking for a little, was hoping it wasn't any more than that. And then electric crews have also installed the elbows on the cable that we upsized over by the American Legion. We had to schedule a couple outages for that. We had some businesses out. That's back on, integrated into the system, and that part of the system is back to normal. Folsom Farms, the wire was already, Parsons already had pulled the wire in over there. Our crews went over there, terminated the elbows, set the transformer, waiting on the electrician to come in and he has to pull the secondary wires and feeds, and then we just got to wire up the meter, put the CTs in. So that one's moving along pretty good. ACS called last Thursday. They had a line that was hit. They asked us for a little assistance for finding some materials to help fix their issues, so our crews went over there, did help them out. They had a contractor on standby there too, so we were able to get them going. They were down for about 4 hours there, so it was nice to be able to help them out there and get them going. Water crews started flushing last week on the water main system. Brian's got a couple guys going over with our water guys out there flushing, so they're working on that, finding a few things that need to be addressed, so they're making notes of that, and then they'll go back and fix what they can. Usually a couple weeks on that, so they're moving along pretty good. And then water meters. We're getting down to 38 as of yesterday, so we're working pretty hard on getting the notes out and contacting people, and it's been moving along, so we haven't had to shut anybody off yet, but we'll just keep working on it, and hopefully we can get down there to the end here. The asphalt plant was up and running yesterday. They had some issues there, and I think they've worked through that, so they called me yesterday and said we're going to try and run it, so I'm doing that. And I think we had switched out a couple meters for the major stations at American Crystal Sugar, and on the first we switched out the other two, so all new meters are all updated out at Crystal Sugar, so that's nice to have those in there. And the ACS did start their generation yesterday, and within the next week they should have, or maybe by the end of the week, they'll have their other boiler going. And their forecast is to start up to be running full slice on the 14th of August. So we'll be watching the allotments, and we got to do a little bit of switching to get back to normal there from our summer load time. So other than that, that's about all I have.
Oh, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Brian.
Morning.
Morning.
Reviewing it here a little bit, Steve had mentioned the pre-bid meeting that we had with the inspections there at the reservoir. Todd touched on the flushing that we've been doing out in the system. I don't know if that'll get completed this week or not, but it should be done probably some point next week. That coupled with we have had good demand out in the system. We've been averaging now for the last week, I would say, 1.1 to 1.2 million a day. So a nice average. 2 weeks ago, we also had a group from Grafton Water Treatment came up to the plant for a tour, and then the main reason for their visit was they wanted to take a look at our Chemco lime slaker, and then compare and contrast with the Wallace and Tiernan. They're thinking about replacing their lime slaker up there. Integrated Process Solutions had their programmer at the plant. That was also 2 weeks ago. They're just working on upgrading some things with the SCADA. Yesterday, Keith and I, we reviewed some O&M budget items. And then lastly, all I have is Lake Agassiz has a board meeting coming up. I guess I got rescheduled now, so that'll be 2 weeks, in 2 weeks. Be doing that with that board meeting. That's all I have unless there's questions.
See any problems coming with the rains down south with probably the increase in the river?
Yeah, it sounded like really big rains around Fargo. Now, fortunately, we're on the Red Lake, you know, not on the Red. Obviously, I think the river's going to come up, but I don't think that should have any detrimental effect on our water, because it didn't sound like we got a lot of rain to the northeast of us where, you know, is our main watershed. So I don't think it's going to affect us too much.
Anything for Brian?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brianna?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, kind of touched a few different times that people have been talking about budgets. Just really quick, a lot of moving pieces go into it. Obviously, the department heads are big, and everyone putting in their 2 cents. But so the Business Highway 2 project, so any money that we would get from the state, you'll see that on the revenue side as the state grant. And so that's where that line item will fall. And then the full project costs, including construction, engineering, everything would go under expenses for the city capital outlay. That's where you'll see that on the O&M when that time comes. So when that comes forward, that's where those numbers will be coming in. It'll include everything because those streetlights are a city fixed asset, and then they pay us for the power on those. So that's how that goes. And then another line item kind of right under the expenses for the city is the franchise fee. So as we're looking at budgeting and forecasting, like I'm looking at you know, how much power have we bought and sold over the last 3-5 years, different averages, looking at different things to see how much we're maybe going to buy and sell. So then I can give the city kind of more of an accurate number for what they should expect for a franchise fee next year. So any of those kind of things, like I talked with Jordan about, hey, what kind of city projects are they doing for energy efficiency? And so keep that in mind because that's another line item down there. We keep their energy efficient projects a little bit different. I know they've been looking at stuff with the doors here at City Hall, and you know, maybe that's something that we can help with, that kind of thing. I did send the rates document off to Todd, and that includes all of our capital projects for 2026, but also I do put in our 2026 O&M stuff. So if anything kind of gets tweaked or moved, I'll update that sheet when Todd sends it back to me, so we can review and kind of give the city a rough number on what we expect rates to increase. Yeah. So that's about it. We continue to struggle with a lot of individuals being behind on their utility bills. We always are willing to work with people, but we're already getting close to people trying to dip into their energy assistance funds. Those funds you cannot apply until October, and we won't get funds till November. And so we cannot wait for those, as the bills that are outstanding are from the last, 2-3 months. So we encourage others to keep, reaching out to different agencies and that kind of stuff. And we kind of continue to work, but that's a never-ending battle. So. And then I was in a lot of sports as a kid, so I appreciate you guys supporting the American Legion Baseball. I think that's awesome. If we want to do that for every sport, we just got to keep in mind to include a little extra in the budget for that too. So.
And actually, I probably wasn't going to say anything about this, but we can't even do that. So the donations, we can give in-kind income, we can give certain things like that, but there's different parameters that it has to reach, and just donations to sporting events or stuff like that doesn't qualify for public purpose. But as soon as we start talking like this, I was going to let it go, but as soon as we start talking like this and let's give money to different sports teams, and then all of a sudden we're expanding the scope of this one donation, it's going to come back at us, and it's not the Attorney General has basically said you can't give it to the Boy Scouts for sporting events, you can't give it to different things like that. So.
Well, yeah, like I said, I know that once you open the door, you'll get other requests. So I know. Then I'm always thinking of dollars, and if funds aren't available, I want it to be included. So then I guess I'm glad he spoke up. So
Do you
anyway.
have any insight as to why you think people are falling behind on,
It's all over.
Yeah, it was a great benefit, but actually a great detriment over COVID. The state had offered a lot of money to people, both for electric and water, for an extended period of time. A lot of that stuff, was heavily relied on. Or we've gotten a lot of people that don't either know that they have to apply every year. They just assume once they apply, they're in. We've had quite a few of those. There's some that think that energy assistance pays for their entire bill, and they aren't understanding that it only pays for the electric portion, so it doesn't cover any of the city fixed fees or if they are paying for water. The other thing that comes into play is that a lot of landlords are now starting to charge their tenants for garbage and wastewater and water. So like, let's say we bill an entire apartment building for water. Obviously wastewater is off of that, and garbage and stuff, they pass all of that along to their tenants now instead of including it in their rent. And that varies by landlord. So that's maybe an additional cost that they never had before. So an apartment building on the north end, for example, they're kind of split throughout their entire units. Some of the people that are on their old lease don't pay for those additional costs, and as soon as they sign a new lease, it gets stuck in, and now they're now paying for those additional costs, and they're like, oh, I didn't expect to pay an extra, let's say $40 or $50 or however much those bills are. So yeah. Yeah, and the cost of everything is always going up, and so costs are going to other things, in different, everyone's scenario is different.
So much worse this year than they have been in the past?
I'll say there's a lot of new people. There's a lot of the same people that we've had for 10 years since I've been here. But there are a few new people, and I mean, some are new to town, but some are just new at all to the list, and maybe car issues or medical issues or whatever the case may be. There's like I said, every story is different. But yeah.
You talked about the doors down here. Are you talking about the new thought of security features being added? Is that what it was?
Yeah, and don't know how far that was ever going to go, but just those kind of things when, the city's doing anything that is going to be some sort of energy efficient thing, like always be talking with Jordan so he can maybe kind of even get an estimate of what that would.
Mayor's pushing that one.
Huh?
Mayor's pushing that one pretty good, I believe.
Well,
and
yeah.
I'm for it. We need more security.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, we've had issues with locks, like on the end of this building, and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So, any more questions of me?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Jordan?
Morning.
Not a whole lot of updates this time. Quite a few weatherization projects on the residential side, so I'm just waiting a lot of paperwork for that, just everyone getting their invoices, everything turned in so we can get those rebates out. Got that meeting scheduled with American Crystal and Frontier for the 27th, the end of the month here. With that, I just want to get everybody up to touch base with our new reps from Frontier, who we're going to be dealing with primarily, just so they know the process of how we pay quarterly, as well as search for opportunities, maybe like a compressed air study or any new projects we can capture for American Crystal. So excited to go out there with those guys and kind of go over that. And with that, they also want to go over their commercial energy auditing process, so I'd be able to see that. So throwing around the idea of possibly doing a city building or two just to kind of see the process, and then we get an audit out of it. Other than that, just planning for the city showcase on September 3rd. Any questions on anything at all?
Ask him if anyone wants to do that.
Would any of you guys like to be in the dunk tank? Still looking for volunteers?
I nominate Tim.
I was already asked and answered no.
You don't have a choice.
I do.
All right, Keith, you're
Well,
up.
thanks.
Yeah, let us know if you change your mind.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, done, thank you.
Corey?
I did my drink down.
Yep.
Next one who talks gets it. Corey, you're up. You get to do
A quick update on the software replacement project. The RFPs were received second week of June. We, internally, between staff discussions and our kind of core committee discussions, we've narrowed our short list down to 4. We are having them on site in the next 3 weeks for demonstrations and interviews, and hopefully we'll have a recommendation after that point.
Are the 4 that you've limited down to, are they used throughout the country pretty good, their programs? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
They are, one's fairly new to Minnesota, but they all have a client base that's of significance.
It's a little more exciting this time, isn't it?
A little bit. And one of them is our current vendor, too. And surprisingly, actually. Scored really high when we evaluated the RFPs. So.
Nice.
Question for Corey?
No, sir. All right, thank you.
Keith, you're up.
So you got a lot of good information. I know they've been working hard on the software process, and we're getting close on that. And then Ron gave us verdict on donations, so I guess we know kind of where we're going forward. Just a rare case here, and so I guess we'll probably leave it at that. So also, as you've heard, a lot of people have been working on budget process. So this week I'm in the process of talking with Todd and Brian, and then I'll be talking with Brianna, kind of look at the final numbers so that we're ready for you on the 21st, because that's when we'll present. We'll get you the documentation the Friday before, and then you'll have some time to look at it. And then on the 21st, it'll just be presented to you, and then you'll have a couple weeks from that point to reach out to us if you have any concerns or questions on any items there. So that's the process there. The next meeting is on the 21st, because there's going to be a couple of us going to the MMUA Summer Conference in Rochester. And so that's the reason why we adjusted that, and we did that several months ago. As you may recall, we changed a couple of the meetings and got out ahead of that. The other thing is union negotiations will be on the 21st as well. I mentioned that last time, but that will be the first meeting, and Commissioner Quirk and Commissioner Grinday will be there representing us, and we'll go from there. So other than that, I think that's all I have, unless you have questions.
When did you say you're going? Next week? Okay.
Week after.
Week after.
He'll be down for our next meeting.
Yeah. Originally, the next meeting would have been on the 20th, but we'll be down. There'll be a couple of us down in Rochester, so we adjusted that to the 21st.
That meeting is that Thursday.
Huh?
That meeting is moved to Thursday.
Moved to Thursday.
Correct.
So I'm kind of giving everybody a heads up. So Ron, one time I think it was on a different day, and Ron, you showed up on the normal day.
What was that?
For the commission meetings.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm just giving you a heads up so that, yeah, so everybody knows it's on Thursday, this next meeting.
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to move it to the 21st then.
Yep, and then right afterwards we have our union. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Any questions?
Anything for Keith?
No, sir.
Take it easy.
Thanks. Yep.
Todd, you heard anything from Crystal Sugar about starting up a little earlier?
Talked to their general manager on Friday night, and he called me back, and it sounds like what he said would they would be bringing in their product, and then they would start their full load slice on the 14th. So I haven't heard anything other than what he told me, and that.
He told us in a meeting pre-haul would be
The 12th.
15th, or he's hoping the 15th.
Yeah. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So if that changes, I mean, that could change daily, of course,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's what I was told. So. And then one other thing that came up, I got a call from the 5K run event. They were asking if they could plug in downtown, maybe by the bandstand or something there for their PA for their start for the 5K run that's on Saturday. So he didn't get it on the agenda. He asked me if any of that stuff was running down there, and I said, well, the only thing it is by the bandstand, so I guess I'd be asking for permission to have them plug in over there.
I don't have a problem with that. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Hey, one quick question for Brian. With Crystal, coming online soon for the pre-haul, and the issues that we've had in the past with them drawing huge amounts of water and not letting us know, is there going to be any issues with that with the reservoir down? If it's still down at that point in time?
I don't anticipate that it's going to be any issues, because we're utilizing our full capacity on the point, which is 2 million gallons there, and then we've got another million elevated. So I don't anticipate that. And of course, we still have full capacity of the plant itself. As far as being able to produce water. So I don't anticipate any issues. They aren't very good at letting us know, of when because we did have a lot of demand this last week.
Yeah. Okay.
That was large and late last week, and we didn't get a heads up, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but we're always happy to send the water out to them, so.
Here you go, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything from the commissioners?
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
Motion for adjournment?
Move.
Second?
Call roll.
Quirk.
Yes.
Grindy.
Yes.
Rapaz.
Yes.
Riepel.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
God, I can't wait to see you in that dump.